Thank you for tuning into another episode of the MPAKT Podcast. I'm your host, LBJ, and today I'm super excited to interview Jamal Robinson. Jamal's the co-founder and CEO of Clear EyeView. He's a Forbes Black member, and he's also the founder and chairman of the board for Belief in a Dream, a nonprofit based in Indiana. Jamal, I'm super grateful for you agreeing to be a guest on the podcast today. Super excited to interview you. Can't wait for people to hear a bit about your story, your entrepreneurship journey. How are you doing today before we get started, before I dive into all the questions?
No, I appreciate that. I'm doing great. You know, it's a beautiful day here in the DMV. Sun's out. I get to spend some time with you and your listeners. So I'm all good. I appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I didn't tell you this before the show, but the DMV is actually one of my favorite cities. I have an aunt who lives there, been there a few times, and you know, there might be some bias because before I visited the DMV most recent time, I was leaving New York City. And you know, New York City is, no offense to anyone who lives in New York City, a bit dirty. But the DMV was like the complete opposite. So I was like, this is great. Like, the city's clean. It's like a lower speed. Like, I was loving it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And you know, New York, you got that hustle, you know, that spirit, and you know, in the district or in Maryland or Virginia, you got a little slower pace, but you still have the speed of the city, and you can still move and shake and get things done. So I'm with you on that. I love the city.
Absolutely. All right. So, you know, before I get into some of my questions, I'd love to hear from you. For our listeners who are just now hearing about you and your brand, what is Clear EyeView?
So Clear EyeView, or what we call CEV Collection as well. CEV stands for Clear EyeView. And so I founded this company with my business partner, Jalen Smith, who's a Pro Bowl NFL linebacker. And we actually grew up in the same home city of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah.
And his business manager is one of my really good friends. And previously I had started and built an eyewear company. And so Jalen, being an entrepreneur, very entrepreneurial minded, was like, hey, how can we, you know, create something from this mantra? He's had it, like I said, since high school. And so his business manager was like, I got a guy. And so we connected, and you know, really the core of it was, you know, his mantra, Clear EyeView. We believe anything in life is possible to Clear EyeView. That's it in a nutshell. And so we wanted to create a brand that had and stood for more than the product we sell, first and foremost. So our vision is to empower everyone to see their true selves. And we really wanted to focus on the culture, Black culture, and infusing that into our product, from our marketing, our messaging, the sizing, the style of our product, telling stories. Every product we put out is named after a Black visionary.
Yeah.
So that was the start of it. You know, two guys from Indiana, one being a professional football player, other being entrepreneurial, putting our heads together and seeing what we can put a dent in the world.
That's incredible. I want to dive into that in just a second. But before we go like all the way into that, I'd like to take a second. You know, you mentioned you're from Fort Wayne, Indiana. What were those early years like for you? Because you mentioned you're an entrepreneur at heart. Yeah, what were those early years for you? Did you like see any inclination that you might be an entrepreneur early on? Or
I give a lot of credit to my parents. And so I grew up in Fort Wayne. I was the kid, and you know, now in my mid 30s, I don't know how my parents did it, to be honest. I'm the youngest of five, and I say that to say I was in every activity, like every activity you think of, from church choir to all the sports. But one sport that stuck with me was soccer.
Yeah,
I was playing since I was 4 or 5 years old, and so that was my steady. But my father and my mother, my father in particular, is very entrepreneurial as well. So he'd always be having tapes playing on in the car when we're on, you be traveling for the weekends. and he'd have motivational tapes going on, you know. And so I was young, just getting that poured into me. And so, you know, I was the kid with what is it, a snow shovel and a sled going around the neighborhood, you know, $10 for a sidewalk, $20 for a driveway, knocking on doors. Kids, you know, people can't say no to kids.
Yeah.
that was really my entrepreneurial bug. It stemmed off my parents. And you know, I did everything I could to make money coming up. You know, and that stuck with me all the way through when I went off to school to play soccer. I was fortunate to get a scholarship to play at the University of Central Florida.
Awesome.
And I wanted to two things. I knew I wanted to. Fort Wayne's a smaller big city, about 300,000 people,
about size St. Louis.
Yeah. So I wanted to get in a little bigger city, metropolitan area, and I wanted to get away from home. And you know, I played soccer, so I wanted to go to a place that you know, I could play all year round. So I went to the University of Florida, and that's kind of where my real entrepreneurial journey began.
Okay, awesome. So I want to go into that in a second. You mentioned that your father was a bit entrepreneurial. Did he like have any businesses growing up while you were growing up, or?
Yeah, so my dad, he's still in a legal services business.
Awesome.
So he, you know, the tapes that he used to play in the car, there was a company, I don't know if it's still around, it's called Amway. And they sell direct selling household products, all types of things.
Yeah.
And so he was a part of Amway back in the day. And so he'd have those tapes playing, you know. I could probably sell Amway right now. But I give a lot of credit to my pops, and then my mom for letting him play those tapes. You know, because we'd be in the car for hours, but you know, they were great. You know what I'm saying? I look back and you know, thankfully, you know, get to spend time with my parents now, and we can all laugh and talk about those times.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So you mentioned you know, your entrepreneurship journey really kind of got started when you went to UCF. What was that first business? What did that look like for you?
So I would go to the clubs. So soccer is a fall sport.
Yeah.
And so when we weren't traveling, be in Orlando, we'd, you know, go out on the weekends, and I'd have a little Shirley Temple, right?
Yeah.
And I was underage. I'm not saying this, but I had a fake ID. You know? So me and my boys, we get in the club, and you know, I had like $20 in literally $20 for like the first 3 months of school. And so I had no money. And again, coming from Indiana and not even going to clubs, I didn't realize people spent like $500, $1,000 on VIP section. Like it was literally mind blowing to me that people spent this type of money.
Yeah.
And, I would always just try to get into those VIPs and like figure out what people do. And so more times than not, it was like celebration, you know, good times, etc. Nothing really crazy. But one time I met a guy whose family was well off into real estate. And he was kind of the younger son. And he was like, I got this idea. I want to do this magazine, this publishing company. And so one of the times I'm doing my thing, having my Shirley Temple, I said, well, you know, how are you going to market it? And he's like, oh, I don't know, you know? And I said, well, let me design you a clothing line. And that was the start. And he was like, you know, okay, gave me his assistant, gave me his information. And he's like, I'll call you tomorrow. This was Saturday. Called me on Sunday.
Yeah.
And he gave me my first internship. He knew I was green, but he knew that I was interested in the business, very, you know, entrepreneurship. And so he said, look, you know, I'll give you an internship, unpaid, but it was a startup. I think it was probably about 5 to 10 people.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can have a shotgun seat to, you know, this process. And so that's why I say it was my first real look into entrepreneurship.
That's incredible. So had you like designed a clothing line before then?
Absolutely not.
So
So
what was your game plan when you?
yeah. That's a good question. I had never designed a clothing line, but I took 3 art classes in high school. I love art. Miss Griswold, okay, from Northrop High School.
Yeah.
Art's so fun, and I had some skill in it. And
Yeah.
so, before I had the call with him, I Googled how to design a clothing line.
What year is this, by the way?
Man, this is 2000, fall 2006, fall 2006.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I call my mom again, had no money, and I see you need, I couldn't afford a Photoshop or all that stuff at the time. There was Corel Draw. So I asked my mom if she could lend me some money to download this software,
Yeah.
teach myself. And then I went to YouTube and I started watching design videos. And so, when I'd speak to the team, I could have some language
Yeah.
to present. And that was the start of it. And one funny thing, I called my dad and I said, Dad, I met this guy. I told him I'm a designer in the clothing line. I told him I'm a designer. We got to have a 3-way call with him. Can you pretend to be like my manager? That's great. And so my dad, he was, he went on with it. He loved it. And he was on the phone calling me Mr. Robinson,
That's incredible.
And then maybe like a week or two later, so I agreed to do the internship. He agrees to let me do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, was that your dad? And I'm like, like pause on the phone. Yeah, that was my dad.
How did he know that was your dad?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was the way my dad was talking, or maybe I was just nervous. I don't know. But
That's great.
Yeah, it was. So that's how I got started.
That's awesome. Okay, so after after that internship, what was that next step for you?
So this is going into my sophomore year now at UCF. My coach knows that I'm going out on the weekends, networking, and
you're going to the club.
Yeah, he knows I'm going. But we're performing, but my sophomore year we had a bad year. Okay. And so my coach gives me the option to re-earn my scholarship. Again, soccer's in the fall, so spring season is what we call it. Re-earn my scholarship in the spring, or typically when you go from school to school, you have to wait a year for a transfer window. Or he said, I'll give you your transfer papers. You don't have to wait a year. You can go play somewhere else. Basically, revoking my scholarship. And
is it because of the networking, or what you said y'all had a bad year?
We had a bad year. Yeah. So the class that I came in was heavily. They put a lot of scholarship money in that class.
Okay.
So he had to reallocate or let people go.
Yeah.
So, basically, you got to opt in or opt out.
Okay.
And so I ended up opting out. I go back home, and my creative wheels are turning. And in the mall they have these kiosks with, like, at that time it was like $5 sunglasses. Yeah. Yeah, and I still have no resources, no money, but I get some glasses and I start to bedazzle them. Yeah. Bling them out. So now this is like 2008. Bling is in. Ed Hardy's blowing up. And if there's younger listeners, just Google Ed Hardy and you'll see what I'm talking about. But if you're 30 and up, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I was in middle school, I think, when Ed Hardy was popping. The first time my sister came home with an Ed Hardy hat, I was like, "What is that?" So like, what? That's it. So then I was like, man, I started on my parents' kitchen table designing these glasses, blinging them out. And I don't know what my affinity was to glasses. I always liked them. Yeah. Like, there was nothing really that it wasn't. I just liked them. Looking back, I see. Did you need eyeglasses at all, or? I didn't. These were just sunglasses. The sunglasses. And so I'm bedazzling them, and I'm back home, and I'm like, okay, how do I get these out there? I think this is a cool product.
Yeah.
Start going to concerts and getting backstage. Oh, this is something that somebody told me I'll never forget. And this is the same thing that I used to do in the VIPs, and it's the same thing I do now.
Yeah.
Is if you look like you're supposed to be somewhere, act like you're supposed to be somewhere, nobody will ever question if you're supposed to be there.
100%.
And so I'd get backstage and try to meet the artists. And long story short of it, Soulja Boy came into town, and he and his team, I told him I'm a designer because, you know, I had one design under my belt, internship. So I was, you know, I'm a designer. Yeah. And you know, he was really hot then, and his team was like, okay, you know, show him what you got. And long story short of that, he liked the glasses, and that was like the first validation and confidence booster I needed to keep going down that path of glasses.
So did you get Soulja Boy to wear glasses, or did you
he wore them strong for, I think the first, like, he wore them at the BET Awards first.
Wow.
he wore them for a year plus.
That's incredible.
Whenever he'd have something going on, they'd call me and, you know, hey, Soulja needs glasses tomorrow. You know, like,
that's awesome.
Overnight them, but that also is what it gave me internal validation, because, you know, when you're in new things, you know, imposter syndrome, you know, is really real. And back when I was starting, I didn't know how to really articulate it, but now it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're trying something, you're going for something you've never had, and I needed to understand these wins, and they were the win that kept pushed me to go further. So Soulja Boy, I give a lot of credit to that, because again, that was the start of my eyewear journey, and that business evolved from, you know, bedazzling glasses for Soulja and other people, then to learning to manufacture, going to China, selling, you know, all over the US and but all because of those steps of, you know, little wins or big wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the start of the journey.
That's incredible. I laugh a little bit in my head because you hear like Soulja Boy nowadays saying, "I did this before everybody else did." Like,
Soulja Boy was the first, for real.
That's incredible.
Soulja was the first.
That's awesome. Okay, so you know, at this point, when you gave your shades to Soulja Boy, did you have like an official brand at this point? Also, like, how did you begin to even source eyeglasses? Because I guess this is, I think you said 2008. Like, is Alibaba like is that like a big thing? Like how are you sourcing the original product?
Well, the original ones, they were just coming from the kiosk, you know.
Wow, so you were like getting them from the kiosk and then flipping them, basically.
Just getting from the kiosk and bedazzling them.
Wow.
You know, customizing them. And
what do these shades look like? Are these like the shutter shades or shutter shades from record?
They were a single shield. Yeah. If you look at his album cover, I think it's I Soulja Boy Tell 'Em. It looks like there's a city in the front. That was designed off of the shades I made for him. So
that's incredible.
So the design he loved was, it looked like literally a city with rhinestones on his glasses. And then his next album was that design. And like I said, he rocked them probably for a year and a half.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was good. It was really good. Yeah. That was the start.
That's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned kind of, you know, that helped you like begin to continue to develop your craft. At what point did you, I guess, phase out that original brand and then kind of move into CEV Collection? Like, you know, what was that time in between?
Yeah, it's about 10 years. So
okay,
I went from designing custom glasses, and then once Soulja started wearing them, other people, friends, you know, brand kind of built itself.
Yeah.
And that was what I was known for, is customizing glasses.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend and a business partner at the time was like, yeah, this isn't scalable. It's very cool, but we can't scale this. And so speaking of Alibaba, so that Alibaba was new. You could connect to factories. And so that's how I learned how to manufacture, overseas, design product. And so that company evolved from custom to manufacturing. And then we grew to my first office, which was in Chicago in the Pilsen neighborhood. Lacuna Artist Lofts.
That's awesome.
So I was there for a couple years. And then we had some great distribution, made some missteps with over ordering product. So learned from that as well. And then came back to Indiana after Chicago. In the next evolution of the businesses, we wanted to go direct to consumer, except through malls and mall kiosks.
Okay.
And at that time, I had started dating my now wife. So I was in Houston, Texas. We opened the first one there. And I knew for that business, I needed to be in Houston for another, so it was 1 year, 2 years to really expand to the other malls and grow. But I also knew at that time, if I did that, I'd probably not have a girlfriend. She was in DC and I was working a lot. So I chose to close the business and then move to DC. And now we're happily married 1 year just this past week.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. But in the course of that, like I said, Jalen's business manager, who's Michael Lito, one of my really good friends from Rise Sports Advisors, knew that I had taken that company from inception to, what we were able to do.
Yeah.
And so that's when CEV came in. So it was about a 10-year period. So 2008 to 2018. And then that's when we started CEV.
That's awesome. So as you were building the initial brand, you had the introduction with CEV. Like, did your design style shift a lot? Like for me as someone who's not a designer, like how do you go about like finding a design that one you like, but two that other people like, to buy?
Well, I would say that's one thing I've learned over the process of when I started the first company, I was designing really like things that I liked, which was cool, and thankfully people liked them. But to continue to scale, taking in different, 10-year period, trends change, fashion changes, the way people see, our product, sunglasses changes. So taking in those indicators from consumers and marketing and all those things, that evolved from what I really didn't do too much the first brand to how we're looking at things and how I look at things for CEV. So really the first company was great because, I learned a lot, great wins, and I learned what not to do. And so those learnings and what I did right, are pouring over into CEV. For
sure. Okay, so you launched CEV. What is you have your friend and his manager come together and said, we're gonna put this together. What was you all's first step from there? Like,
we wanted to start small. So at the time, Jalen was playing with the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, we knew a couple things, which, everyone knows. Like, one, Cowboys are known as America's team. Strong fan, you can look at it any way you want, but that's what they're called. And so strong fan base. Jalen was just coming into the league, and so we knew from, again, my previous experience, let's start with a couple styles and focus them. Jalen also went to the University of Notre Dame, graduated there as well. So we really wanted to focus on those two fan bases initially to start, because we knew we had had strong relevancy there.
Yeah.
We wanted to start with just a couple frames, which we did too, and see how things go. And so that was sort of it. And then also, we wanted to be really clear. In the eyewear industry, if people don't know, is controlled by several international companies that have monopolized the industry. They're vertically integrated. So everything from insurance to retail distribution to products, a handful of companies own that. So I knew from my experience that there's an opportunity. One, there aren't any Black-owned brands at that level in the industry. So we wanted to plant a flag there, and not only just be a Black-owned brand, but tell the story, the products that align with Black consumers. Because I'm sure, as your audience knows, and if they don't, you know, we create the culture, we create the trend. That's not a place. That's not a, you know, just a saying. It's statistically proven. Everything from music, fashion, historically, it has come by way of or through Black people. So we wanted and saw that as an opportunity to be that bridge for Black people around the world, and stand strong at that. So that's where we have the phrase culturally inspired design. And so those few things, we started small. We knew there's an opportunity in the market from a local US to global perspective. And we knew also the strength of Jalen's influence, that that would give us a pretty wide net to cast from a marketing standpoint. And so those are the things of how we started.
That's awesome. I'm trying to remember who I was listening to. It might have been Isaac Hayes III. He's founder of Fanbase. I don't know if you've heard of Fanbase. It's like he's basically created a social media company, entirely Black owned. He used crowdfunding, basically equity crowdfunding, to really kind of allow us as a community, as a Black community, to invest in his business early on. But he was talking about the, let's say, potential impact of Black athletes and other creators coming together to use our influence to grow our own businesses. So like, I love to I'm love hearing that in action, and like how you all were able to do that early on. I guess, like that's super cool. So you've got the suppliers, you've figured all that out, you figured out your go-to-market strategy. One question that I'm wondering, as I listen to you talk, you seem like you are super aware and like super on top of understanding your market, understanding how you're gonna go to market. Where does that come from? Like how did you, for that prospective entrepreneur, like who's like, all right, I know what I want to build, but I don't know how to get it to people. Like how did you develop that?
Well, I've had a lot of swings. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's what it is, right? So, I mean, I can tell you a story. I backpacked China for 30 days with a backpack and suitcase, because the question I wanted to answer was, how is this product made? How can I speak intelligently about the product? So, I mean, I landed in Hong Kong and I went to Guangzhou, Beijing, Guangzhou, Wenzhou, Beijing. I took Mandarin in college so I could try to speak with my suppliers.
So you already knew, like leaving college, you were going to need to speak Mandarin.
The question I had to myself in college was, I want to be an international businessman. I knew that. I knew I wanted to play on a global scale. Yeah. When you look at languages that are spoken with business around the world, there's a handful. It's French, it's Mandarin, and Spanish. And so in my world, being in product, it's really French and Mandarin that I should focus on. And again, I'm doing most of my business in China, so Mandarin is what I chose. But to answer your question, is I just keep swinging. and that's what I would encourage any entrepreneur that's getting started is at the, I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 300,000 people, small Midwestern town. And I just took advantage of every opportunity I could to meet people, took advantage of every opportunity I could to get in front of people, whether it be, influencers like a Soldier Boy or business people in the community. So that would be my encouragement. And I'm still doing that today, living in, the DMV. That's how we got connected. Any opportunity that comes up, I take it, and I not only take it, but I try to learn from it. I try to grow from it. So that's where that mindset came from. And that's how I look at building the product, building the company, etc.
That's awesome. One question I have, so you talked a bit about the company, how you built the company. What's been the biggest challenge in building this company?
The biggest challenge has been really still as we grow. So let me tell the backstory. So we partnered with a company 2 years ago to scale our optical business. So we have 2 lines of business: direct-to-consumer sunglasses, which you see on our website, and then we have our product that you see in optical stores. We made a partnership to do our optical business. So we're in about 511 stores as of June this year. 238 now. We're about
that's incredible.
Thank you. 274 this month. So I say that to say it's the mental, I wouldn't even say warfare, but the mental aspect of when you have success or you've done things, to keep challenging myself to push the boundaries to execute. Because when you get to a place where some things go right, you don't want to make a mishap. And I think that's again, for me personally, some people may be built differently, but mentally, and maybe, no matter where you're at in the journey, just always pushing the envelope and executing, and never having a fear of failure. Like I said, starting out, that imposter syndrome, I speak on that so much, and I speak on it directly because it's not in my mind. It is what it is. I'm addressing it, and I'm gonna move forward. So as an entrepreneur building a business and a growing business, it's always having that execution mindset and not having the fear of continuing to push the envelope, even when we're having success.
That's incredible. Wow. Okay, so at the beginning of the show, you mentioned that, and you talked a bit about it recently as well, but you mentioned that you really, one of the visions for CEV Collection is to really infuse the culture, infuse Black culture into the eyewear. What does that look like? Like, how do y'all do that? Like, that's super cool.
So the one thing that we think about is, again, naming of the product after Black visionaries, right? So the blue light blocking glass I'm wearing right now, these are the Ashe glasses, named after Arthur Ashe. The website, you can see a little bit about Arthur Ashe, but what this does is it gives us a vehicle to talk about Black visionaries all the time. People that buy our product, we always love to say, hey, do you know this? And it could be Black people, could not be Black people. They'd be like, oh my goodness, I did not know that. That I learned something new. So that's one thing, the Black visionary standpoint. The second thing is Black and minority individuals have more unique face shapes than European face shapes, which the companies I mentioned at the beginning of the show, mainly European, Italian-based companies, European designed. So whether it be the size of our frames are a little bit longer to fit our face shapes, they're a little bit wider. Those are small things. Glasses is typically 2 pieces of plastic or 3 pieces of plastic and 1 piece of metal or 3 pieces of metal. So really, when it comes to design, it's all about size and fit, and then functionality. So that's the second way is we think about the size of our product. And again, we're intentional. That's not to say that we're the only ones. We're just intentional about it. We're intentional with
Yeah.
what we know, consumers like us would need. So the product can be worn, as we hope, all day long. And
That's incredible.
It doesn't become uncomfortable. So those would be the two ways:
Yeah.
the storytelling and then the sizing.
I love that. So you're also founder and chairman of the board of Believe in a Dream. I'd love to hear a bit about Believe in a Dream.
So, as the name states, it's all about, I believe we all have a dream. And how that got started was, after my first year of college, I'd go to my former high school, North High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I would talk to my peers at the time about me following my dream to go play soccer.
Yeah.
And I realized, I told you a little backstory how I grew up. I realized a lot of people didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't grow up with parents that were encouraging them. I tried a lot of things growing up. And even when I fell short, my parents always encouraged me to keep going. And so that was the start of it. And I wanted to focus on a couple things. I believe entrepreneurship is a vehicle that can change lives and change the world. And then the arts. And then we recently added leadership. So our focus is inspiring the next generation to believe, dream, and do. And we do that through entrepreneurship. We've given away, in total, access of hundreds of thousands of dollars to startup entrepreneurs, orchestral students from the arts. And then we put on leadership summits for now 9th grade through 12th grade students to become and understand who they are, know their worth.
That's awesome. I love that. That makes me, first off, everything you said, like, I'm like super inspired by your story, like super inspired by your journey. And it's the reason that this podcast exists, is to tell these types of stories.
Appreciate that. Receive that. Thank you.
Of course. Yes. This is called the MPAKT Podcast. So I have a question, but I think I know the answer, but I would hear it from you. What's the impact that you want to leave, whether that's for, the future generation of entrepreneurs, whether that's in business in general? In your words, what's the impact that you're looking to leave with everything that you're doing?
So when I hear that question, I hear about my vision, and my vision is to change the world through business and philanthropy by creating global enterprises that enable others to live their dream through my company's mission. And so what that means is, when I say change the world, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Enabling others to live their dream. And so what that looks like is everyone that I hire or is on my team, when you talk to my program directors or our program directors that believe in a dream, they are living their dream running our programs. You talk to, my partners around me, what their dream is doing exactly that. So just the vessel. And that's what I want to continue to do and be, is the vessel. What I'm doing right now, building CEV, that's my vessel right now, personal.
Yeah.
So that's the vision I have for myself and why I believe I was put on this earth.
That's incredible. Where do you get that foundation? Because I say, like, when I asked that question, you're on top of it. Like, you're like, oh, I know. Like, it's clear you've thought through this. Like, yeah. What's your foundation? Because I'm loving this conversation.
Well, first for me is faith, right? There's nothing in my life that I do or can do without faith. And so that's the personal foundation. And it's a lot of, I'm always learning. We're speaking now, and I've been fortunate to be in business in some way, shape, or form for 15 years.
Yeah.
And so learning by way of my parents or mentors or books or conferences, and then putting those learnings into the world and getting feedback. When it comes to the vision, I'm clear on that because if there's no direction, you can end up where you don't want to be. Time will keep passing by. So that is something I'm really intentional on, and I'm really clear on, that, I don't, like I said, I don't want to play small. For me personally, I want to play globally, and I want to do just that, play. And I think business is playing. Like I love it. That's my calling. So I am clear on that because I have spent time on it, and I do believe, that's what I've been put on this earth to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so
Appreciate it.
I'll go into kind of some final questions. My first question, what does the rest of this year and future and beyond look like for Clear Eye View?
So, like I mentioned, we're launching an additional 274 stores, starting to ship this month. It's May, so that'll land by May, June.
Yeah.
So that is amazing. I believe in total we're in 511 stores. I truly believe we'll be on track to have commitments of 1,000 stores by the end of the year. It takes some time.
That's amazing.
Takes some time to ship and deliver, but 1,000 stores. We got a collaboration coming out this summer, which I'll have to come back on and tell you once it's.
Let's get that playing. Let's do that.
But just know it's something I'm super proud about. And it's major. It's with a cultural icon. It's our first big collaboration at this level. And so I'm really looking forward to executing that flawlessly. And then, just continuing to share our story, continuing to share, having great conversations with individuals like yourself, building relationships with individuals like yourself. Those would be the three things off the top of my mind. So, retail launch and success, the collaboration we have coming up, and continue to tell our story.
That's fantastic. Okay, so one clarifying question. So you mentioned retailers. I think earlier you said optical retailers. So those like eyeglass stores, like.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're in a variety of optical stores around the country. So if you went to our website and then you searched on stores, you would see all the stores that.
Perfect. Cool. I will be getting me some of your shades this year. So, I have a prescription, like wear, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And like I have struggled to find shades, like you said, like for my unique head shape. Like all.
I'm sure we got you. All
right, cool. I will be getting me some this year. That's a guarantee.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. And then so you talked about kind of this year, beyond this year, what does, you talked about the vision for the company. I mean, for yourself and the impact that you want to make. What's the vision for the company in the years to come?
So we want to build a great business that can add value to someone's portfolio or pre-existing business to take us to the next level. We want to build a valuable asset that, somebody, a larger entity, will see the opportunity that we've created and help us get to the next level by way of acquisition. So that's our focus is, building to sell, and not just to sell, just to say we sold, but really, business comes in waves and evolutions.
Yep.
We believe and we know we can get our business to a level, and then typically from, level A to B, you're going to need a couple additional resources, whether it be cash, human resources, distribution network, etc.
Yep.
So for us, we see the opportunity to build this business and then hand it off to someone that can nurture the asset that we've created and then take CEV to, another level. So that would be that'd be the goal for us. And that's the path we're charging on.
Yeah, I love that. I'm sorry, you're making me as you talk, you're making me get more questions.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
How do you get there? Like, 'cause I hear, like, I think oftentimes, like, I hear entrepreneurs say, yeah, like, we want investors, we want to be acquired, we want to sell IPO, whatever that is. But for that young entrepreneur who's just getting started, who, like, this might be the first time they're hearing about, hey, I can sell I don't have to run my business for the rest of my life. Like, I can sell it. Like, how do you get there? Like, yeah.
I believe it comes down to, for me, and the way that I look at it is understanding the value that we can add to the industry or the business. So, like I started the podcast, I know our business is really broken into 3 buckets. Yep. It's international conglomerates that are vertically integrated. It's family-owned businesses. So in America, the eyewear industry started almost like a secondary or third tier industry. Nobody really wanted to be in it, but families started it, and then over time those families have stayed involved. So that's kind of like the third tier. Then at the bottom of the triangle is kind of a bunch of independents like our brand. So I know that we can be of value to that second or third tier, and I think one, understanding the business you're in, understanding the value that you can create, and then knowing those 2 things, how to build something that could be of value. Now, I'm not saying we would sell right away, but I think for myself and then any other entrepreneur that's listening or that's thinking about it, is knowing what your end game is, right? Some people don't want to sell. They want to build it and they want to hold on to it, and there's nothing wrong with that. We know that we can add the most value building an entity that could be value to our potential partners in the future, by building what we're building. And so we're building to that end game. Now, when we get to that end game, we'll be at a place where we can have the option. At that point, we could say, no, we actually enjoy this and we want to hold on to it a little bit more, and that's what it'll be. Or we could say, you know what, we did exactly what we set out to do, and now we want to pass it to someone that'll have it in their good hands for the future. So I think it's starting at the end, which my first business to that point, I didn't have that clarity. It was kind of like, we'll keep evolving. Next thing you know, you just keep evolving. Where are you going?
That's
great. That's what I would say too. That's the way that we look at it. It's been helpful for us. And, I would say that to somebody that's thinking about or just starting is, okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect segue into my final question for you. What advice do you have for prospective entrepreneurs? And I think you've given a ton of advice throughout the show, but what is those lasting words for a prospective entrepreneur?
I would say for me, everything goes back to believe in a dream, believe in yourself, and execute. So I think it really comes down to those 2 things. Like you got to have a vision, and if you're an entrepreneur, you're listening to this podcast, there's something you want to start, or even if you're in a job, or volunteering, or you want to be a great spouse, like believing in a dream does not have to be entrepreneurial. That's just the thing that I see it. I try to have a vision for my family life too. I want to be a great husband and God willing, a great father. So I think, one, you got to have a dream, and then, put in the work. And that's what I mean by execute to make it happen. And, there's 4 words, I'll end with this, that I really live by, and is you have to have a dream. That's the first. You have to believe it. Second. Third, you have to do it, execute. And with success or failure, you have to repeat. And so that's the cycle of, I think, success. is dream, believe, do, and repeat. And sometimes when you have
Wow.
success, you stop, right? So that's why the repeat is so important. And sometimes with failure, you stop. It's like, man, it didn't work out. But that's why the repeat is so important. You just have to continue that cycle. So I'd encourage anybody, like, no matter if you're, exited some businesses, or you're just starting, or maybe you're stuck, those 4 words have been, really helpful for me. So that would be my encouragement to you.
Wow, that's amazing. Jamal, this was I after every conversation, I go and I tell my wife, I was like, that's one of my favorites. Like, like, and I'm sitting here like, well, I guess all of them are my favorite.
You got all favorites. You got all favorites.
Like, this was another just inspiring, I'd say motivating. I don't know. It almost feels like there's like how you ended, like there's a call to action. I'm just super grateful for you taking the time to be a guest on the podcast today. Again, like, I'm tremendously touched by your story. I'm like still thinking about all the stuff that you said. So, like, before we end, where can people find you? Where can people get in touch with you? Where can people purchase your shades? How can people support Believe in a Dream? All that. I'll link it all below in the show notes, so people can easily access it as well. But yeah.
I appreciate that. First, before I sign off, I appreciate the opportunity to share my story, our story, with your audience. Thank you for, allowing this space. I value it. Second, want to give a shout out to Brittany, your previous guest, because she's from Indiana.
Yes.
us Hoosiers got to stick together. So I really enjoyed you guys' conversation, and again, her story. But in closing out, you can follow CEV Collection across Instagram, all platforms, CEV Collection. And then my email, feel free to drop me an email, ask me questions, or maybe you want to push back on something I said, or maybe ask for clarity. It's just Jamal@CEVcollection.com. And it's summertime's coming up. We're just about to enter summer. We're in spring. So go to CEVcollection.com and pick up a pair or 2 or 3 of our glasses. Or like LBJ said, if you need some optical frames, go to stores on our website, and you'll more than likely have a store near you that carries our product. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Jamal. Yeah, super excited for the year ahead for y'all. Congratulations to you and your entire team for all of your success, and sending up prayers for continued success. And like you said, I got to have you back to hear about your new project. I won't ask for too many details just yet, but I got to hear about it.
All right. I can't wait.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right.